Hello! So I want to do a video about Arachne and Maya. So this is a combo I use a lot. A few people were interested in learning more about it. So Arachne and Maya, these are two of my favorite heroes. I like them both quite a bit. Usually, like I said, so Arachne, so we'll just go talk about them here. Arachne said she was one of the first heroes I got. She's the first hero I ever got to absolute start, but she has, like I said, she's actually had some changes and stuff. They changed her artifact weapon to magic penetration. For a long time it's physical attack. But she's a warrior control. She has this ability called hyper jump, which stuns nearby enemies for 5 seconds. With Mara patron, that can last up to 15 seconds, so that's a very long duration stun. She also has this, which is a 2-second stun. Again, this is also AE. And this could be with 6 seconds with Mara. So she has these 2 stuns, she can stun lock things. Other note about her stuns is that they don't have a level limit on them. As far as I know, she's like one of the only heroes in the game that has, she might be the only hero in the game who has stuns without a level limit. Usually, you, like I said, they only work on your level or lower. But, a level, if these skills are level 1, you can still stun them. It won't do nearly as much damage, but you can still stun them with level 1 skills with Arachne, which makes her very good, for PvE competent and stuff. If you're still, leveling up, if you're not 130 yet, she's really good in the campaign and stuff. So these, like I said, but this is the key to Arachne. She has all these stuns. The other thing she has is she has a heck of a lot of armor. When she's fully maxed out, she can get to 39k armor. And if you use Axel as her patron, you can get almost 50,000 armor. So she's like a tank, plus she has vampirism. So she's really, really tough. And she does good magic damage. She doesn't have very good magic penetration, but she's pretty tough. And then Maya, right, said she's a healer mage. She does a lot of pure damage. The reason that Maya works so well with Arachne is because, one, she has these poisonous bonds, which pulls the enemies together, and all of her abilities are AE, so she works really good with Biscuit Patron, right? These are both AE damage abilities, and this is also AE, pulls the enemies together, right? And part of what makes them work together is that, one, you said this pulls them together, which allows Arachne to stun them, stun the whole team together. The other hero that works really well with Arachne is Lars, because he can also bunch up enemies, but Maya, he tends to work better, but also, if you need to strip off Ode to Serenity, you can use Biscuit Patron. And Biscuit is kind of, right, Arachne, Maya's always been like my pet team, but I think post-Biscuit that they're actually a good team now. They're actually one of the best lines. And I use them in Arena quite a bit. I use them in Guild Wars quite a bit. Let's see if we can find some actual fights here. Right, so I used, like I said, Maya and Arachne. You see I have Biscuit here, I have Maya, right, like it says, if you go, as I said, you can just watch how this works. I use them in Guild War quite a bit. Right, it's like you think Isaac might be a counter to this team here. Like I said, you might think this team's tough, but I actually said, we just, like I said, Maya strips off Ode to Serenity, and then Arachne just stuns them. Because everything Maya does, all of her abilities are AE abilities. And so she's really good with stripping off Ode to Serenity if you put Biscuit Patron on her. Should say he's good at stripping off Ode to Serenity again. When Sebastian was first released, he used to block pure damage. So heroes like Arachne and Maya were actually really good, because Arachne used to have something called Neurotoxin, which made all of her abilities do pure damage. So Arachne and Maya used to be really good when Sebastian was first released it, stripping off Ode, right, like I said. But then they quote nerfed Sebastian, so he didn't block pure damage anymore, and it made it much, much harder to strip off Ode to Serenity. So about 1.5 years after that, they finally fixed it and put a Biscuit Patron in the game, so now you can strip off Ode again with this combo. But yeah, no, you just kind of, like I said, you just grind them out. You stun lock them, grind them out with Maya's damage. That's just how it works. Like I said, Aurora also does a lot of damage, but like I said, Isaac teams, like I said, you can beat a lot of them. You can beat, that one, Isaac, Dante. Galahad's kind of a weird main tank, though. I don't really think Galahad's that great. He's okay, but his biggest issue is that he is the only tank who doesn't buff mitigation. But you see, we just destroy these teams. Holy Trinity, Arachne, Maya. a very good team. I use it quite a bit. Let's see. We can look at the numbers here. Again, Aurora is kind of like the main DPS of the game. Ranlu, he had a Arachne, Dante, Heidi team. So this one, I don't think I probably didn't use Biscuit on Maya here because I probably didn't need it. So I probably have Albus to maximize their damage. We just, like I said, just grind them down. You stun them, bunch them up, stun them, and then just grind them down with pure damage and magic. Right, so we have Albus on Maya this time. Aurora with that elite damage. But yeah, no, you got, like I said, so Aurora does a lot with the dodge spam here. Mike here again. Like I said, I don't use this team on my arena defense mostly because you don't want to give it away. So I actually had a Guild War defense today too with the same line. But again, like same line we saw earlier, like it just, you can just tear apart a lot of teams with Arachne Maya. Like I said, I do think Arachne Maya is definitely one of the best combos in the game right now. Post Biscuit has just really opened the door for them. Let's see, nope, that was a Twins win. Twins are the other line I use. Sometimes, just like I said, for everything else, there's the Twins. Arachne Maya, that was only a 4 hit, so I used Morgan. Because they did some weird line, I don't know why. Sometimes people put like unfull teams in arena, I'm never quite sure. But this just makes it super easy because I don't need Sebastian for this. Right, like even if they had Sebastian in this line, which is probably what you'd normally see, I'd still use, like I said, you still bring in Morgan, Arachne Maya. So you just don't, because you don't need Sebastian versus Iris. Like Sebastian isn't needed versus Iris. So part of why I think Iris is not that strong is that she doesn't really force you to use Sebastian. Which is, like I said, I tell you, I just think Arachne is better than Iris in just about every line. Why use Iris when you can use Arachne? In this one, against Free Palestine. Again, we have another Isaac team. We have an Iris, Yasmin. Again, no Sebastian, so I don't need to worry about Odin's Serenity. So you just, like I said, this is just, right, people say Isaac's like, the end of Aurora or whatever, like, or Iris is the end of Aurora, or Isaac's the end. Like, Aurora's still good, man. Like I said, she's top DPS in all these teams. She's a big key part of why this works so well, is I'm just able to grind out a lot of wins. And on defense, also a pretty good defending team, because I said do get some defending wins here. Like I had one today, right? Like I said, just they used kind of a dubious line. I don't think this is a line you want to tack into this with, but this is what they brought, like I said, because Aurora and Celeste combined, like I said, both of them are kind of like soft counters to Yasmin. And so it's just, would it be what I would recommend? But they did attack into this with that line, so. And she just got sniped by Celeste. Like I said, that's one thing why Celeste is good versus Yasmin, because when Yasmin's ulting, if Celeste's in dark mode, like there's a good chance Yasmin will just get sniped by Celeste, because Celeste can just about one-shot her. Just because Yasmin has literally no magic defense. I mean, pretty much nothing. And so Celeste does full damage, and Yasmin has almost no health. So Celeste can usually kill Yasmin in about 2 shots. But like I said, no, this is just a total rout. They just get killed by combination of Celeste plus pure damage. If you look at the stuff here, you got Aurora again. I used Oliver, but you got, like I said, some stuff. I said Oliver had Sebastian here, had Biscuit on Maya, Arachne. So it's like I said, Aurora, the top DPS. Like I said, Aurora is probably the best DPS in the whole game. Like I said, another thing you can actually do here, you can also put Biscuit on Aurora, especially on defense. Sometimes that's better than you could put Albus on Maya still. Like, Aurora is pretty good with Biscuit as well. And that's also about strategy, especially on the defensive end if you're trying to... Right, because a lot of people don't expect... Like, then you can switch this up. You can have Kane one week and then Oliver on Sebastian or whatever. And you can just switch this up like patrons, because you have a lot of patron choices. And, like, what you have as patrons can make a big difference. If they expect different patrons, than what you get when, especially when they're testing. You can totally wreck them. Like I've seen people time out to Auroras that have Oliver Patron, for example, because they expected Kane, and then they time out because they don't have they didn't bring Celeste or something. So that's the thing. So yeah, no, this is a good team. It's one I definitely recommend. I do think it's a very strong team right now. Like I said, Arachne Maya plus Trinity, very good team. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video informative. Thank you for watching.